Probably you have been surprised at the importance that I have given to religion over the course of the last couple of weeks. And maybe you asked why religion has taken such an important position in our course. First of all, I was surprised myself that as I was presenting material, this institution, this aspect of Italian culture, had achieved such a level of prominence. I was surprised, first of all, because I am not a religious person at all. But as I examined the materials while I was teaching them, as I did more reading, as I selected and watched a lot of visual materials, I realized that if we look at the last 20 centuries, there is one institution that has been constant in the life of Italians and that has contributed greatly to shaping the culture of Italians. And I'm going to make a distinction here. I am not talking about faith. I'm not talking about religion as in a group of people who share the same spiritual goals and the same theological concepts about God and the universe. I am talking about the Catholic Church. This institution, this political and economic institution, which is based on a philosophy, otherwise known as theology, but that's philosophy, it's thinking, it's principles, it's concepts, it's abstract ideas. And how, as a power entity, has always been associated with civil power and has determined and shaped the development of history and culture in Italy. The church has changed enormously. It has never remained fixed and embraced only one set of dogmas and ideas. We can see the contrast between the Name of the Rose and the Renaissance, for instance. In the Name of the Rose, we have Jorge, who's the defender of orthodoxy, who doesn't even want Christians to laugh, because one day they may laugh at the gospel. And then we have a Pope, Julius II, with Michelangelo, who has no problem whatsoever in having naked bodies of men and women displayed openly in the church. Obviously, things have changed. Church has adapted itself to other forms of change in culture, but has always been able to, in a way, control these manifestations. It has associated itself with the power in a dominant position when that was politically possible, or in a subordinate position when it didn't have enough power to contrast the king, the emperor, or whatever it was. But the church has always been there, deeply enmeshed with the power structure. And has always excluded people who strayed too far from the major guidelines. I hinted at Galileo Galilei, one of the greatest scientists of the era, who was forced to recant his statements about the solar system. I could mention another great philosopher, Giordano Bruno, who in the year 1600 was burnt at the stake for his heretical positions. So the church has always given a certain latitude, but has also establish the boundaries within which culture could and thinking could evolve. Now, we are not simply talking about the power of the church at this extreme high level. On the local level, up until not very long ago, the church had an enormous concrete power. If 30, 40 years ago in a small town, somebody applied for a job in a bank, working in a bank in Italy has always been a very prestigious position, very well paid. Well, the director or the manager who needed character references would call the priest of the town where this person lived. And if the priest said, yes, he's okay, I know him, chances are that this person would get hired. If there was an objection of any kind, political, oh, the guy is a communist, or moral, oh, he is living in sin with a woman, or he has children without being married, you can be guaranteed that the person would not get a job. And I am not kidding. I'm quoting real situations that I'm very familiar with. Now, this was very well known. People may have objected, but people understood in general that that is how the system worked. Not everywhere, not every time, but any time that it could work, it worked that way. The genius of the church as an institution, the Catholic Church, is the fact that it does not allow its members to marry and have children. It is a purely meritocratic institution. Only the best and the brightest rise to the top. There are no children to whom to assign jobs and posts. There are no spouses. There is no extended family. Of course, there are minor privileges that are given out to people that are close to the individual. But the member of the church, the initiated member of the church, the priest, will be evaluated by the hierarchy purely on the basis of his masculine performance and his intelligence and his ability and the trustworthiness. Can we trust this person? This mechanism excludes nepotism, excludes favors, and allows into the membership and the hierarchy only the best and the brightest. It also co-opts from outside the best and the brightest. If you go along with the main principles of the church, could they be political, quote-unquote moral, whatever, and you are willing to associate yourself with the activities of the church, there are going to be advantages for you. So you are going to get a particular position in a state agency or in a local bank or in all of those functions, institutional functions that belong to the functioning of the state. The relationship between church and Italian state is always present. Now, the Vatican is also a state, a real state. It has a president, well, a king, the Pope, and it has a government. It has a foreign policy. It has embassies. It has a national bank. It has economic and strategic interests. It also has 1.2 billion citizens, Catholics living all over the world. Now, not all those citizens agree with their other government, so to speak. They live freely in other countries as full citizens, but in a way they do belong spiritually to the Church, to the Vatican, as citizens of this entity and religion. So Italians have always dealt with two powers, the civil power and the Church. They always dealt with two foreign policies, the state and the Church, with different economic perspectives, the state and the Church, philosophical, political science, sociological. Many were perfectly comfortable with this arrangement. Many were not, but there is no doubt that everybody always had to look behind their shoulder to check who was watching.